Welcome to the Let Them Live podcast with Emily Burning, a place for meaningful conversations, real stories, and a shared mission to protect life.
Okay, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Let Them Live podcast. I think we're in season 3. I don't really know. I don't know. I just do the recording of them. But it's really great to see you guys again. It's been a hot minute since I have recorded one. And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Kerri Pomarolli. Did I say that right?
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. We love that. And I'm really, really excited for you guys to hear from her today because she's hilarious. She's got an amazing story and she loves Jesus. And those are just 3 things that make for a great conversation. So if you guys noticed too, my mother-in-law actually pointed this out to me. I am recording in my father-in-law's library today, which is not my permanent place, but maybe it will be. So he's got a variety of books. You can see some like Mark Levin and James O'Keefe. And he's also a doctor, though. He's a plastic surgeon. So if you see any books behind me, you're like, Emily, why is that in your background? That's why. So if you see any books, comment them. Let me know what you see. He's got a wide variety here. But anyways, before we get into it, I just want to thank you guys again for supporting this podcast, supporting Let Them Live, supporting these wonderful pro-life stories. And I am going to do a brief introduction. So back in November, let me just go even further back. Let Them Live started partnering with a wonderful organization that provides like Christian books to children. And Candace Cameron Bure is actually like an ambassador, spokeswoman, representative of this amazing organization. And I'm actually going to pull up the name of it because I always forget. Why do I always forget? We literally partner with them. I would forget my own name if I... Okay, someone put it up on the screen when you edit this. But so we got invited to go to this amazing generous family. We got invited to go to this amazing event. We got VIP tickets, and it was super cool. I've never been to an event like this before. And what it was is like Candace Cameron Bure is on stage. So there's like conversation happening. There's like games that are happening. It's like interactive with the audience. So it's not just going to like a speech and sitting and listening to someone talk, but it was super fun. It was faith-filled. It was women. It was just really encouraging. And my favorite part of the night was when Kerri, when you opened up this show. So I would love for you to talk about this briefly, like what you guys did. You guys went on this tour, but I thought it was funny. It's sometimes hard, I think, to mix comedy and Christianity and some like real topics, but I thought you did a great job. So that's how we got connected, you guys. And then we started talking and she has a great pro-life story. So I'm going to stop talking and let you kind of introduce yourself, Kerri, and take it from there.
Well, you did also mention that it's in the best state in the whole country, Michigan, my home state. So that was a really big plus. But Candace and I have known each other out here in Los Angeles and California for many years. We've worked together. We've done cruises. I've written some things with her and just sort of partnered on several projects. And she said, hey, do you want to come on my tour? I'm doing this trial tour to see if we like it. You want to come and do some cities? You can do comedy. I'll do my presentation. And I was like, so I can just go make fun of you for 15 minutes, which is fantastic. Because she's incredibly too skinny and too nice and too perfect. And there has to be some loopholes that I will find to share with the audience, which I have not. It's just that she works out 87 hours a week and eats tiny little pieces of pizza. But so it was a great time. She's a great sport. I love working with her. She runs a great tour. Everything was great. She had her trainer with her. So it was very health and fitness. The only thing I can tell you backstage is they had a bunch of health foods. Like they had these little green things that they called chips, but they're clearly not chips. Like there's just nothing
Like they're made out of
chips
kale
about them.
or
But
something gross.
so other than her being incredibly too healthy, I love everything about her. But it was great to be back in my home state and do some comedy. And that's how we met. And it was great.
Yeah, that's amazing. No, I had such a great time. And for anyone who doesn't know who Candace is, just go Google it and you should just get off this podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
Just say DJ Tanner.
DJ Tanner, yes, then everyone else will know. But this was such a great event. And really lovely women. And so Kerri comes out on stage, and I've never been to an event like this, so I'm thinking, I don't know what's happening. And she comes out, and I'm thinking, okay, that's not Candace, but I didn't look at anything prior to this event, so I didn't know there was like a bunch of people. She's making me laugh so hard, and I'm like, okay, I got to get to know her. So she's telling the funniest jokes. It's really great because she's joking about motherhood, and you just make some of the funniest jokes about things that are so serious. And it was actually at we got VIP tickets from Generous Family, which is amazing. So we got to go backstage and connect. And yeah, Kerri and I don't know if I interrupted a conversation or if we started talking. I can't ever remember, but somehow we started talking about, pregnancy, and I was telling her about embryo adoption and how Nathan and I have had our infertility journey, but that we run a pro-life organization. And Kerri's like, I am so pro-life. And I was like, I love to hear that. And so I remember we were talking, Kerri, and you were like, can I pray over you? I thought that was so cool how you were just like, this is a total stranger and I'm going to pray over her. And I also just heard you cracking jokes. Like, I loved it. I was like, I have to get to know this woman. So then we got your number, we connected, you sent me your story. I would love for you to share your story with everyone. Your which is also your daughter's story. Just, yeah, I would love for them to hear it. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, we can all be pro-life and that's really great, but sometimes you end up with skin in the game in a way that you don't expect. And people would think, oh, is that because you're abortion minded? And I wasn't, but being pro-life has many facets to it, and you can be connected to this cause for many reasons because the battle that we face is more than just fighting abortion or pregnant. You know what I mean? So I came to this cause about 15 years ago when I was pregnant with my second daughter, which I had no idea I would be ever talking about this, but I was pregnant. I had a perfect pregnancy and I gave birth to a daughter that had what the world would call like birth defects or disabilities. And I'll talk to you more about that in a minute. But what happened later, as I've been fighting this battle with God and prayer and all the things, I had no idea this even existed, but that 80% of babies that are in the womb right now, in the womb with the same disabilities that my daughter was born with, are aborted, killed, murdered. And then there's certain countries that said, if you have a daughter or son with a chromosome disorder, you have to abort them. Like literally, like they're not even worth living, which is insane. It's just, if you stop and think about it, it's insane in the world that we live in. And my story, you can hear the long story of it in public or YouTube, but the short version is she was born with a brain defect. She was born with a chromosome defect. She was born with leg defects, muscle defects. They said she wasn't going to walk. She was going to use a walker. She was going to use a leg braces. She was going to have oxygen. There was no cure, no cure, no cure. And it just caused me as a Christian to get down on my face, literally, with God and with the world and all their predictions and say, do you heal, God? Are you real? At the same time, my mother's facing third time breast cancer. My world's falling apart. I'm a comedian. I'm supposed to go out and preach the gospel. And yet I'm sitting there going, what is happening? Is my baby going to be cursed? Did God do this? Did the devil do this? People are saying, oh, God doesn't make mistakes. This is how he wanted her. He meant for her to be born this way. But that didn't line up with my belief as a Christian. It said that all sickness does not come from God. He might allow it, but he didn't want her to be this way. But it's the world, if there's no cure for this disability, they're like, well, tie a yellow ribbon around it and just raise her the best you can. She'll never go to school with the other kids. She'll never dance like the other kids. She'll never do life like the other kids. And sorry for you. And I just couldn't do that. I just couldn't. And so I dug deep into the scriptures with my friends, with people that really believed with me. It was a small circle because when you're fighting for something that the world has not seen a lot of, supernatural miracles, there's not a lot of people that want to join forces with you, but some did. And you don't need people, you need Jesus. And I just dug down and I got Psalm 103. Psalm 103 says, I will heal all your diseases. There's nothing you can't ask me for. And I'm like, well, God, my mom's battling cancer for the third time. My kid is maybe not going to live. I don't know what to do, but just to dig down in this. And God spoke to me in those moments. There was weeks of hospital stays and weeks of tests and weeks of, we're going to do surgery on her heart and all the things. And God was like speaking to me so clearly, like, I am the God who rescued you. I am the God that saved the Israelites. I am the God of Jehovah Rapha. If you put your faith in me, I will deliver. And people were like, you're crazy. You are insane. But so was Noah when he built that ark, and they'd never seen rain, So it was just sort of really praying, and it wasn't like a one and done. But when it was time for her to have this heart surgery, they went to do the heart surgery, and her heart had supernaturally healed itself. And when they said she was going to have oxygen for 18 years, things just started happening. Like we went back, and I share this testimony all around the world. And we went back to the hospital, and they're like, her lungs are perfect. Her heart is perfect. You don't need the oxygen. And so we just started walking and crawling and walking and crawling and saying, God, well, can she walk like the other kids? Yeah, put a piece of pizza at the end of the table. Like, she'll go get it, and can she crawl like the other babies? And
I could
can
crawl
she
for a
go to
piece of
school
pizza
like
too.
the other babies? Right. And it's been a journey, a long, crazy, miraculous, wonderful journey. And Ruby actually comes on stage with me and is a full-fledged, healed, normal, define normal. She's not normal. She's a comedian's kid. Crazy, straight A student, who goes on stage and is like, this is me. I do theater. I do cooking. And it's not like it was a one and done healing journey, but we're still walking it out. We still have to do a little speech therapy sometimes, but she's like, I'm a miracle. I was born with these things and I'm walking out of them. And it's just part of her story now. It's not her whole existence, but she got a letter from the White House last year from President Trump doing an academic scholarship award. And I think she's so used to being a Hollywood kid and being the center of attention. She's like, yeah, that's cool. And I was like, no, dude, the president just wrote you, and she's like, well, is Candace Cameron can we call Candace? We need to call Candace. She's obsessed with Candace. But so Ruby and I do a lot of pro-life shows together and share that God can heal. And it's not like, I'm talking to those families who have children that are still dealing with things as we are, that, you don't have enough faith or you don't have the right faith. God can heal at any moment. So it's my honor to pray with families. And I've actually have a prayer group, and we've written books and we have organizations about God healing birth defects. And he can heal a birth defect if your kid is 40. I don't know any other way to pray. And my mom is still here and she's cancer free and she got through that. And I've since then walked through breast cancer myself, and I've gotten through that. And it doesn't mean the enemy is going to stop attacking us, but we have the authority and we have the power to pray. But with your particular battle, the pro-life battle, I think it's our responsibility to fight, and it's our responsibility to be loud about it. And we fight that battle by doing what we can every day.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I really like something you said. And I touch on this because I think there's this conception or misconception, sorry, in our culture, where if you have faith, if you're a Christian, then your life is just going to be great. And that's not anywhere in the Bible. It's actually the opposite. And people base their faith on what God can do for them, and what God, how perfect their life is. And, oh, well, am I facing any challenges in my life? If I am, well, then, there really isn't a God, or I lose my faith. But faith is really standing firm even when everything else around you is not going well. And for Christians, that's a life that we're promised, especially when we're swimming upstream against a culture of death, for example. And with your daughter, with Ruby. So, and I'll have the team link the YouTube that you sent me.
Yeah.
You guys, this is such an amazing testimony and video. You have to watch it. It's so beautiful because, like you said, you have the struggles. It's like, it's there. You're not immune from that. But the fact that you're like, you know what? I love God. God is still good through all of this is such an amazing testimony. And that's a really big encouragement. Usually I get to this at the end, but I'm just going to ask you now. That's such a big encouragement to women who are currently pregnant. What would you say to a woman who was pregnant and she knew that her child had some sort of diagnosis. Maybe her child has Down syndrome. Maybe it's something else. What would you say to her? And she's
First of
scared.
all, what I did is I would find testimonies of other people that had received miracles. Now, the Down syndrome one was kind of tough because not a lot of people had walked that before me. And I was like, well, is it real? Because not a lot of people, I couldn't find anyone that had been healed from Down syndrome. He's like, well, maybe you'll be the first. And now her testimony's gone to like hundreds of thousands of people in countries all over the world. But like, if you're struggling, go on YouTube and use it for good and say, like, in vitro healing miracles and be encouraged, and go to the scripture and like he healed lepers and dead people. Like, like God's like, so you can't be more sick than dead. And I raised the dead. So, and he said he's the same today, yesterday, and tomorrow. So I just would say, encourage yourself, get around people that are going to walk this with you. Don't talk to people that are thinking that you're crazy. You're not obligated to go on Facebook and announce what you're believing for. You're just not. So it can be a private journey and just find one person that can just agree with you and start there.
Yeah, that's powerful because it probably feels very overwhelming in the moment. A lot of times, the women that we help at Let Them Live are experiencing a surprise, or they're like, I don't know what to do. They're facing many other situations, and then if they've received
Right.
some sort of news like this on top of that, it's just a big shocker. So to have someone who's in your
Right.
corner, who's in your baby's corner, I love that. That's really important. I was going to ask you. So one of the funniest jokes I remember is you were on stage and you're talking about, I'm from Michigan, but you're like, I live in Sodom and Gomorrah. And I thought that was so funny. I just was dying laughing. But it's actually also true. California is absolutely insane. What is that like for you as a Christian who is in Hollywood? Yeah, what is that like for you? Are you
Okay,
good?
so here's the thing. It's not as what people think it is. Like, people think like California is gonna fall into the sea and we're just running around with like torches all the time. Like, it's basically you can find good people wherever you are. And I think Hollywood is not as prejudiced against me being a Christian. They're more prejudiced me being a conservative and me being like pro-life. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, you can do your Jesus all day long. Don't interfere with my politics. Don't interfere with my life choices. And um, LA is very loud and San Francisco is very loud, but like the rest of the state isn't exactly what you see on TV. And I think the media like makes it out to be cuckoo crazy. Cause I live in this little Northern California town and there's like chickens and ducks and turkeys and there's a church on every corner. But I think when you hear, it's like saying, okay, Detroit is representative of Grand Rapids. You know what I mean? So, but I think everywhere you are, you're challenged in who you are as a person of faith, no matter where you live and no matter what you do. And I think like that's your mission field is wherever you're
Mhm.
planted.
Yeah, I think that's really important. That's your mission field. And we do have a responsibility as Christians to go into the world and to be Christ light. And that does mean going into some very dark places, and being unabashedly, whether that's Christian or pro-life, like, having your values. And I think you touched on something important as well. I think there's a lot of moral relativism. And I feel like there used to be a time. Tell me what you think. There used to be a time where you could say to someone like, I'm a Christian, and you'd be like, oh yeah, what's up, bro? Like, we believe the same things. But now you're like, okay, but what type of Christian
Yeah.
are you? Like, what do you believe? Like, are you someone who's gonna now say you're pro-choice? Or like it's really difficult to find our footing. Like, are you a Bible believing Christian, or where are we at with that?
Yeah. I mean, and like it's just and then it's hard because I have a lot of like judgment that I have to bait myself because I can be a total Pharisee. And like there's a lot of Hollywood people that I know that are professing Christians that aren't like making the life choices I would make. And I'm like, but God, you said don't do this. But God, and I'm like, I am not them. I am not on their journey. And God will deal with it. God's like, take a number, Kerri. I got stuff to deal with you. But there's a plenty of people that I know that are very famous that believe in Jesus Christ as their savior. Maybe they're not making movies and TVs that represent that. And it makes me angry because I feel like they're giving a bad witness. But it says in the Bible, we all have to face God. So I kind of got to zip it a little bit and just pray for them.
True.
or pray for me that I can stay in my lane, you know?
Right. We got to remove, what is it? Remove the log in your own eye. And we can share with people, especially if they're professing Christians, and say, hey, I noticed that you're making these movies. I feel like it's a conviction thing, though. You could be a Christian. I mean, I remember back to when I was in college, I was saying I was a Christian. I was going to church every Sunday. I was doing all the stuff on the outside, but my activities did not reflect that. And
Yeah,
I look
girl.
back now and I'm like,
Yeah, and
eh.
yeah.
So,
And I
you
will
know,
say there are some that are really doing it right. Like Candace is one that is just like really straight and narrow, and she does not compromise her faith. And there's just very few. Like there's just very few. And I've said no to more things than I've said yes to. And I've had to turn down really big things. And I've had to turn down television projects. And like my oldest daughter was an actress, and she got like a sitcom role on an NBC sitcom. And it was just a little gray area, and we didn't feel good about it. We turned it down, and she had movie roles, and people were like, "Oh, you turned down all this money." And I'm like, "I'm not selling her soul, like it's
Mhm.
not worth it." And there's no amount of money. But even sometimes as a Christian, we turn down things that are a little gray. Like God's just like, "That's not what I want you to do." And it's not black and white. It's horrible. But maybe there's a project, and God's like, "I don't want you to be a part of that." So you have to be listening to him all the time.
Yeah, it's very obvious that you have a kingdom mindset, because it's very easy to get lured into the flashy things that we see in front of us, the money, the fame, this really big TV show, all these things. But we have to be more concerned with our souls, because I don't wanna be, burning in hell for my the eternity, right? Like, I'm thinking of the long game here, and I think that you are doing that as well, and I think that's really beautiful, because that takes courage, because that stuff is flashy. It is appealing. Fame and money and all the stuff that comes with it is so
And
appealing.
there are Christians like other comedians. There's a guy named Nate Bargatze, and he's huge, and he hosted the Emmys, and I love him, and he's a professing Christian, and he's super successful and super famous. And people are like, "Oh, are you sorry that you're not like at his level?" And I'm like, "You know what? Nate's not out there doing churches, and God is calling me to do churches and do ministry and pray for people, and they're equal in God's eyes. Like Nate is where God wants him to be, and I think he stewarded it really well." Um but for me, God's like, "I'm not having you host the Emmys, maybe later, whatever, but I want you in churches laying hands on the sick and seeing them recover." And that's
Mhm.
your lane. And that's a really great lane.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
I'd
just
love to
been
see you
like,
host that maze. I'd be like, "Yes, I'm watching that." I don't watch anything like that, but if you were doing it, I would. How how is that? I guess there's a lot of Christians that are like, don't listen to any comedy ever, because it's gonna cross so many lines. But I'm someone that tends towards comedy. I laugh to cope, all that good stuff. So what has it been like for you in your journey as a Christian and, as a comedian, using the gifts that God has given you and balancing both? What is that like for you?
I think
How
I
do you
just
find
started
that?
out being like, I'm not going to tell any joke that I can't say in front of my mom. If my mom won't listen to it, then I won't get in trouble. But I try to say, like, I don't I don't wanna be dirty. It's not appealing to me to be dirty, so why would I even do it? And I do a lot of secular stuff, and if they happen to notice that I'm clean, then that's cool. I just make fun of, I mean, it's funny, even some Christians are like, "You're so edgy." I'm like, "Edgy?" I'm like the Gest rated GGG, you know, but I think I pushed the envelope. I'm married, I got divorced, I do comedy with my ex-husband. I don't think we're gonna catch on fire for doing that. Actually, it's been a pretty warm reception since we started doing comedy together. But Christians are afraid to talk about life, and life is hard, and things happen. And comedy comes from pain. Comedy doesn't come from joy. Comedy comes from, I've stubbed my toe and I'm mad about it, and I have a funny story, or whatever. Like, so I think that comedy is just honesty and saying the things that people might be thinking, and they're not saying it out loud. But I'm like, I will, I'll say it. And actually, I'm coming back to Michigan in September, and so I'm excited about that.
Awesome. That's amazing. We're gonna have to put is there like a link to that? Because
Yeah,
any
yeah, absolutely.
Michiganders, okay,
Yep.
good. You guys, seriously, this is not, and I'm not, listen, I'm not someone who's like, if if Kerri was not funny, genuinely, and I was like, well, she's a Christian, and it's kind of quirky, and I wouldn't have her here. She's actually so freaking funny, you guys.
Thank you.
It is awesome. So you have to like follow her if you're not. You have to find her on YouTube everywhere. You have to watch her stuff. I guarantee you're just going to be peeing your pants. It's great. It's really good comedy, and I think it's a great way to loosen up the room. And like you said, Christians, we why don't we like to? We just don't like to talk about stuff, right?
I don't
Um,
know. I mean, we need to laugh more. I did a cruise last week and it was 5,000 people and every single one of those persons were married. And they had me doing comedy on the cruise. And I was like, this is hysterical. I just walked on stage and I was like, I thought this was an audition for Love Island. And apparently I'm on the wrong cruise. And like, it was just like, you have to find the comedy in like light, and every time I'll be going through something hard and I'm like, okay, at some point I might be able to laugh about this. Even breast cancer. I have done breast cancer fundraisers and I found comedy in breast cancer, like we just have to. And it doesn't have to be cheesy and it doesn't have to be corny. We can still be funny.
Yes, 100%. No, I love that. I remember you were talking about some like movies that you had been in and some other projects. Is there any upcoming projects that you can talk about that you'd like to share that you're in? And also, how can people
Yeah.
connect with you?
Uh I just started my own podcast, which is going to be coming out at the end of March, which I'm really excited about. It's a comedy podcast. It's called Inappropriate Ish, and it's with my friend Susie. And I'm a Gen X. She's a millennial. I'm more on the conservative side. She's a little bit more like free flow. We're both Christians. We're totally different people. And we always have these inappropriate conversations that we're like, oh my gosh, these are funny if people would listen to us on the phone because we're just insane. Like I was going through breast cancer and I was talking about how I could use my breast cancer journey as a weight loss cleanse if I had to do radiation and like all these like crazy things. And we're both from LA, so we're just totally superficial. And so that's starting soon. Inappropriate-ish is a podcast. I'm on tour. I just got off tour. I was with Colton Dixon and Rebecca St. James. I did the Family Life to Date cruise, and I'm on tour 12 months out of the year. So if you find me on Instagram at Kerri Pom or kerripom.com, KERRIPOM, you can find me and come see me. I'm all around the country. And I'm going to Africa next month, which I'm very excited about, on a mission trip with my daughter. And just if
Wonderful.
you follow me on social media, you can hear all about my adventures.
You guys, 100% follow her. This is a wonderful woman who is a woman of God who is also just a human being trying to get through life, share her stories and sharing the human experience with everyone else. And I just absolutely love what you do. So yeah, give a follow. I'm definitely gonna be listening to your podcast. I think that sounds hilarious. So, and I feel like I'm inappropriate-ish, but I'm
Yes,
like
you
I don't
are.
want to test the
You are.
boundaries.
We accept you.
Yes, I love that. Well, I'm so glad. Is there anything else that you'd like to share that's on your heart before we close out?
I just am grateful for what you're doing. And I just want to speak to anybody that's listening right now. Like, I know that you're going through a journey and we prayed, and sometimes we pray and we're like, oh, that person prayed for me. Like, it should happen, the next day. But I just want to encourage, like, that God has the timing of everything that we're facing and everything that we're going through and every victory that's right around the corner. That don't lose faith that God has already ordained all of our days and all of our steps. So for whatever it is that you're believing for, hoping for, fighting through, just know that you have a God that loves you and he has intimate plans for your life, and he's already set it in motion, and he already knows what's going to happen, and he knows the birthdays of your children. He knows how you're going to meet your children, how they're going to come into your life. If you have that desire out there to be a mom, that the Lord will provide that opportunity. You just have to be open to how he's going to do it.
Yes, one of my favorite names for God is Jehovah Jireh, which is God will provide. He's provider. He provides for all of our needs, even needs that we have no idea that we need. So
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. And thank you again for joining. I think just sharing your heart and sharing some of your humor. And you guys, thank you for listening. If you have listened this far, I don't know. There's probably like 2 people that listen to this. I hope more than that. But I know that God is asking me to do this, so I'm really it's really exciting to platform wonderful women like yourself, Kerri. So yeah, if you guys want to listen more, you can subscribe on YouTube, probably on the Let Them Live page. I don't know, I'm not the one that does all this, but also make sure you follow Let Them Live, you donate to Let Them Live, you support Let Them Live. This is directly supporting pregnant women who need financial support to choose life. So thank you guys again for listening. Thank you, Kerri. And I will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you for tuning in to the Let Them Live podcast with Emily Burning. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know your thoughts in the comments and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode.